Hello and welcome to the show. On today's Downhill Chaos, I'm going to start with the Sanchez. It's been requested quite a few times that I have a go with some more bikes, and I'm going to start with a proper off-roading bike. It also helps that this spawns at the top of the mountain, so I know where I can find one. Now, the last time I used the bike, I used Franklin's bike. I believe it is called the Bagger. It was rather tricky to drive down the mountain because they have such incredible grip, as you saw there. They seem very, very twitchy. I also love how Michael gets splattered across the rock there. And yeah, the real downside to the bikes is they have got huge amounts of grip, which means when you're on a very, very narrow path, which there are quite a lot of on this route, they become incredibly twitchy and can be very, very hard to do just little movements with. However, when things are going well, you do have absolutely massive grip. I don't know why bikes have such ridiculous grip. On this occasion, though, I just took a tiny knock off a fence. I tried to recover the bike onto the path, but I couldn't really do much about that one. I was expecting the bike to take forever. I really didn't look forward to having to go with another bike. However, it was only on my third attempt that I got the Sanchez to the bottom of the mountain. Even going wrong at the sort of the first corner there. Normally if you run over that rock in a car, you have had it. But in the bike, I landed it and just carried on as if nothing really had happened. This thing is incredibly good down here. I mean, it is a dirt bike, yes, it's designed for this kind of thing. I expected it to have a little, like the similar problems I had with the Bagger, but I really didn't. You could brake so late into the corners and you get it stopped, and then you get it turned, and then you could floor it again out of the corners. And yeah, there is really pretty much no criticisms. It is a little bit twitchy. It's not as twitchy as the Bagger was. I think it's more that these tyres and everything are designed for off-roading, so it was much easier to drive down here. And yeah, it's so unbelievably fast. I take the shins out of one of the hikers there. Do apologise for that. It's got so much speed. It's just the amount of speed you can carry through the corners, how late you can brake into these bits as well, and how little braking is actually needed. Makes this thing incredibly fast. If you'd done that kind of thing with a car, you'd have never got it stopped. But the minute you land, you slam on the brakes and it just stops almost instantly. Yeah, the Sanchez was very, very quick down the mountain and didn't take particularly long either. It was good fun. I enjoyed driving that down there. I was really expecting the bikes to be a pain going down that course. Maybe if I had to go with one of the super bikes or something, that would be more a problem. But the Sanchez, pretty damn straightforward getting it down the mountain. Not massively surprising. It is an off-road built vehicle. But yeah, up next, this has been requested an awful lot on the last couple of videos. People want to see me have a go with the Merryweather Jeep. I believe it is called the Mesa Grand or Grand Mesa or something like that. I don't know. Now I couldn't find one of these in single player, so I spawned one in the content creator, and so spawned that in at the top of the mountain. That's why I have all of the UI on at the moment. I don't know how I can get rid of that. I don't think you can when you're in the content creator. I had a look, but no, I couldn't get rid of it. On the first attempt, I forgot what I was driving, thought I was driving the bike again, and braked far too late. Just go tumbling off down the mountainside. One thing that the Mesa does very, very well is it does lots of spins and rolls. It tumbles incredibly well. I don't know how many 360 spins I did there before I eventually crashed, and there was a sort of 3 barrel rolls to finish as well. Yeah, this thing tumbles pretty damn impressively. There are some downsides to this vehicle, and it doesn't stop very well. It really doesn't have that good of a brakes. I know literally just after I'd finished with the dirt bike, I went on to do this, so it may be a little bit of a slightly skewed comparison. However, the brakes aren't particularly good. I also love how I was going to have a really big explosion there because I was going backwards. The minute I hit the bushes, I lost all momentum, and then it can just kind of land fine. The other big issue with this Jeep, aside from the brakes, is its tendency to go on 2 wheels. It does this absolutely everywhere. Every time you go round a corner, it's going on 2 wheels like that. This isn't the highest of vehicles. I think the Sand King is slightly higher. However, because this is such a small sort of overall dimensions to this, it just goes on 2 wheels everywhere. And if it's doing that, you're going to have a crash eventually. And again, we tumble down the mountain in rather, yeah, I don't know why this car rolls so well, but it does. And almost all of the one door is left on. Yeah, so I don't know why. It's got fairly high sort of centre of mass, but yeah, it's It's a bit problematic getting it turned, and again, just got caught out there by the brakes. It has some of the laziest rolls down this one. It does 3 barrel rolls just about, and then we're going to swap to the other side. No, we're not. Now we're going to do a couple of spins, and there's another one, and wait for it, and we got it under control. There, that was intended. That was some stunt driving going on there. Yes. Kind of. Yeah, it does tumble quite spectacularly. I made it sort of to the bottom of the mountain, not where I was intending to go, but I made it close enough in sort of a vaguely controlled manner. Again, you can see that it was having all sorts of problems going on 2 wheels. Now, the Mesa had a different problem corner. I've never had this corner as a problem for vehicles before, but this bit here, it did not like. It did not like landing on that jump for whatever reason. This time we go for some more tumbles. I think this is rolled more times. I rolled this Mesa more times doing this than in the entirety of the Will It Roll series. It spent so much time rolling over. I don't know why. Again, I guess it's to do with the fact that it's fairly narrow, fairly short, and fairly high centre of mass. It just likes to roll over. But yeah, I was, again, still having problems keeping it on 2 wheels. I don't know what was the problem with this landing in this vehicle, but that corner there was terrible by me anyway. But it had issues just landing that jump, and then off we go into the scenery yet again. Are we going to have any rolls? No. Well, there we go. And there we start rolling again, and it'll go carrying off down the mountain. Of all the vehicles I have today, this one took by far the longest, mainly because the other ones didn't actually take that long. Not as bad as the Sanking, though, getting this down the mountain. Once you've remembered it's not the Sanchez, and you have to brake a little bit earlier, or quite a lot earlier, than you would with the Sanchez, a little bit earlier than some of the other vehicles that I've had down here. This opening section wasn't particularly challenging with the Mesa, providing you weren't going too fast, providing you got the speed under control. It didn't have too many issues. It's just all of these sort of very sort of downhill corners, it had problems with going on 2 wheels. There's nothing you can do about it. Unless you take it really, really slowly, you're going to lose time doing that. You just have to accept it's going to go on 2 wheels, and you just have to kind of deal with it driving like that. It's a little bit awkward. I know you're going to lose a bit of time doing that, but you lose less time than if you slow down enough to stop it doing that. So there are a few scary moments, even on this run that was the run that I've got a time, that had a few scary moments on it. I got a really lucky bounce off that wall, because it kind of turns the car around the corner for me. Sometimes you can get away with doing that, other times you'll do it and it'll ping you off down the mountain. I gave up trying to land that jump, and I just took the sort of the alternative route. Again, you might lose a little bit of time, but it's a lot better than flipping and crashing off the edge of the mountain, so I chose that option. Again, being a little bit careful on these jumps. I don't know what causes it to bounce around. I was a bit worried about rolling it down this section. I've rolled previous cars. Luckily the Mesa is particularly narrow, which means I don't have too many issues with sort of clipping the inside hill. Final corner, got it a little bit wrong again. It was on 2 wheels going into the corner and around the last section, and Mesa has got down the mountain, and we found a tree as well. Yeah, it was a little bit more difficult than I would like. It's a great car off-road, this thing. Fantastic car off-road. Going downhill, though, the high centre of mass is a real problem. And our final vehicle for today is the Adder. Again, this one here has been requested an awful lot of times. I did have one in my garage at one point, and then it vanished. So I was going to do this a lot sooner. However, I was just driving around, and I saw one had spawned, and it was in the right colours, so I grabbed it, drove it up to the top of the mountain. This thing's so easy to get out of the mountain because it's got so much power. Like it goes flying over the front of the car. This thing here should be pretty damn quick down the mountain as well. Overall, the fastest car in the game. The Voltic might beat it a little bit on acceleration, but this is faster, sort of top speed. I also love how I managed to make the rocks multiply. So first run, yeah, I just trying to carry a bit too much speed, bumped the rocks, and yeah, that kind of threw me off course. On the second run, I got through the first parts without too many problems. The brakes on the Adder are fantastic as well. It gets stopped really very, very quickly. As we go around the hairpin, I run a little bit wide, and you don't really want to do that. I might not have fallen off the cliff, but I am now facing the wrong way. That's not the direction you really want to be going. However, it was the third attempt with the Adder that I got to the bottom of the mountain as well. Yeah, this car is pretty damn quick down here. While it has the ground clearance, doesn't have the off-road capabilities of some of the vehicles, so you do have to be a little bit careful. It does get bounced around. Those hikers got incredibly lucky. You do have to take a little bit slower over some of the bumps. I thought I was gone there. When I saw the car doing that, I thought that was it. I also love how far the coyote goes off to the side when you hit it there. It gets pinged around because of the low suspension. However, in reality, it shouldn't actually survive this. There's no chance a Veyron will survive you doing this to it. Of course, acceleration is phenomenal. and down this first section it was incredibly quick. I think it was pretty much on par with the Sanchez through that first section. Things start to go a little bit astray for it down here. Once it starts getting to the really bumpy sections, it doesn't like it. It just doesn't have the ground clearance. It gets pinged around a little bit. While you don't have the problem that you had with the Sand King and with the Rebel, where it actually kind of bounces, because this is sort of all on road suspension, this car, it just, yeah, it does that kind of thing, and you're losing time because you're trying to slow it down, you're trying to keep it under control. And yeah, through this final section, it does struggle a little bit. It's also so fast that when I was accelerating, it was getting quite a lot of airtime over there, which was scary. I thought I'd lost it a couple of times down this section. Around the final couple of corners, it was a little bit more controllable through here, but again, you're losing time just trying to deal with the ruts. And around the final corner, and the adder made it to the bottom fairly straightforwardly. You've just got to be a little bit careful. It gets pinged around on the bumps. It doesn't really like them very much. Not really surprising, because it is a supercar and you are driving it off-road. Anyway, it is on to the descent times, and we have a new leader. The Sanchez goes into the first with a mighty fast time of 1:14.5. I thought the quad bike's time was going to be hard to beat, but I really highly doubt anything standard is going to get near that Sanchez. I'm having a think, and I can't think of any vehicle that stands a chance of getting near that. The adder puts in a pretty impressive time as well, of a 1:24.9. As I said, first sector, it was pretty damn close, or first section of the track, I should say, pretty damn close to the Sanchez, but on that final bit, it just lost so much time trying to keep it under control over the bumps. It slips down to 6th. The Merryweather Jeep, the Mesa Grande, goes into 14th, and that's just because it loses so much time going up on two wheels. Pretty much. Still a fairly good time, a 1:32.2, but yeah, you lose so much time trying to keep it under control when it's going up on two wheels that yeah, it slips down the leaderboard. Still, it's not too bad. It's not that far off a BF injection. It's a little bit quicker than a Rebel. So yeah, that's a fairly good time from the Mesa Jeep, considering all of the problems that it has. Anyway, that is it for this episode, guys. So thank you very much for watching. If you have a car that you reckon would beat the Sanchez down the mountain, please do leave it in the comment section. We're only doing standard cars on this for now. So if you have a vehicle that's standard you reckon could keep up with the Sanchez down the mountain, let me know. I will definitely give that a go at some point. If you have any other suggestions though for silly vehicles and that kind of thing you would like to see me drive down the mountain, please do leave them in the comment section. I'll have a look through, and my favourites or the most popular will be in a video at some point. However, that is it for today, so until next time, goodbye.